Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Nayo Shell, the host and founder of Meditation Matters and the host of the Meditation Matters podcast. And I have another thought tidbit for you today. So actually on my walk home today, I started to really think about authenticity and what it means to speak from that space and to actually speak your truth, right? And finding ways to speak your truth without fear of how you're going to be judged or interpreted or whatever that may be, right? Things that we typically kind of have fears about. We don't want to be judged. We don't want to be, we want to be validated. I mean, there's a lot of things that we want when we're speaking, when we're being, when we're existing, right? So one thing that really crossed my mind is that when we're embracing this topic of authenticity, which I do personally plan to do an entire podcast just on what it means to be authentic and to embrace your most authentic self, is that you're literally just being you. You're speaking from your truth. You're speaking from your understanding and from what you know and feel to be very true. And I'm going past perception here, right? It's very easy for us to perceive and interpret things in our own personal filter and lenses. But when it really comes to speaking up in a situation, being like, you know what, actually I didn't like that, or you know what, actually I want to go and do that, or just, you know what, we need to have a conversation about this and I need to keep it a buck with you, right? Like when you're having these type of conversations where you need to keep it real and you're not sure if you should because you're not sure how you're going to be perceived by the other person. You're not sure if the other person is going to understand you, feel you, if that person is going to accept your opinion or what you got to say or how you need to express yourself. You're not sure if the other person, or even if what you have to say is going to be validated, right? Like if it's going to be something, like I said, that's going to be well perceived, well understood. And one of the biggest things about speaking from an authentic space is that, one, you have to know who your most authentic self is. Like, you got to fill it out. You got to know what you feel like. You got to know how you think. You got to know what it's like to be with the truest, rawest form of yourself. Because once you come to a place where you're embracing and accepting that part of yourself, your most authentic self, and you're mindful of what that's like, what that experience is, and what that even means for you, then being able to express yourself, express your innermost needs, wants, desires, being able to express what you need to in that moment, what you feel very led to do, it gets easier, right? Because you know how to say it without really caring about what the other person is going to think or say or do or whatever. It gets to a point where you're not really worried about how other people are going to perceive you. You're speaking in your truth. And one example I was thinking about on my walk was relationships, right? A lot of times we don't want to hurt our partner, right? We don't want to partner our partners, however your dynamic is. And, we don't necessarily, there are things that maybe we might hold back from them for the sake of not wanting to make them mad, sad, or not wanting to seem some type of way and, oh my God, they see me in a different light, or whatever your reason could be, right? But the reality of the situation is that, at the end of the day, at least for me, right, this is my truth. If I'm in a relationship with somebody, I want you to keep it real with me. If you say, oh, I'm the type of person that I keep it real, keep it real. Don't just keep it real with me when you want to talk about sex, when you want to talk about where you want to go or how fun things are or how much you like me. Keep it real with me when I do something that irritates you or because keep it real with me when you're mad at me. Keep it real with me when there's a very serious topic that we need to talk about. It could be something I did, that you did, or something that we need to look into more deeply. Keep it real with me with the good and the bad. And I think people forget how important it is to keep it real, not only with themselves, but with their partner, right? So that's a relationship example, right? But especially when you're in this phase of learning your most authentic self and learning how to communicate your most authentic self to others in a way that makes sense, you gotta learn yourself first. You gotta know what's good with you first before you really start to really understand and know how to communicate with others and live and communicate in a way that is true to you, is what I'm trying to say here. And that could be hard. If you're not really hip to what your most authentic self is, or what your most authentic self wants, or what your truest self really, needs, it's going to be hard for you to be able to convey what you want to others. And I just did a video and a whole blog post on why it's important to know what you want. That matters. And when you know what you want, and when you know that what you want is to hypothetically live in your truth, if you know that that's what you want, you then got to go do that. And even if you don't know how to do it in the beginning, that's okay. Figure it out. Ask the questions. Ask the question to yourself, seek guidance from others, do what you need to do, but start living in your most authentic form. And when you live in your true form, and when you allow yourself to ask questions or to bring things up or to just stay true to your concerns, your questions, your desires, whatever it may be, the life path gets easier because you're not like restricting and restraining yourself to the opinions and the qualms of somebody else, right? Like you're allowing yourself to express yourself. And of course, there are a ton of different ways in which you can communicate and which you can express yourself. You don't have to be a dick, you don't have to be an asshole. You can express yourself in ways that allow you, not necessarily for you to feel like you have to be understood, but allow you to express yourself in ways that are respecting someone else, that respect someone else, and also that respect yourself. And I'll also cover another topic about how we should talk to ourselves, because in passing, sometimes we can say, oh my God, that was such a dumb thing, some dumb Nio, right? Like, nah, let's stop doing that to us. Let's stop berating ourselves and doing this little petty, nah, we don't need to drag ourselves down, right? But that's another topic. But at the end of the day, there's a way to communicate yourself to other people, and there's a way to communicate with yourself to understand yourself more, right? And I'm not saying that you got to go out and shed your skin to everybody you walk past, right? But what I'm saying is that when you find yourself in situations where you feel like you need to express yourself, then you need to express yourself at the end of the day. And you, in that moment, trust that your higher self will know how to help you express yourself to that person. If you're in a situation where perhaps there may be danger if you express yourself, then there's, trust that there's going to be a way for you to either get out of that situation or be able to express yourself in a way that helps you remain out of danger, right? But, at the end of the day, it is very, very, very important for you to know how to express yourself. And that takes first you going within and figuring yourself out. Taking the time to ask yourself, who am I? What do I want? What am I about? What matters to me, right? And just really asking yourself those whys, getting to the bottom of it, really knowing who you are, being mindful of your feelings, your thoughts, your opinions, your limiting beliefs, your intentions, how you want to live, how you are living, and taking your focus away from how you don't want to do things, and instead putting your focus on what you do want, and then also figuring out how can you do what you want, how you can make your wants your own personal reality. So, it's funny because I have been somebody who has been worried about what people think and how people are going to perceive me. And that's something I'm still getting over, especially when it comes to my example of a relationship dynamic, right? I've definitely been in situations where I know I should have said something else, or I should have been like, nah, I'm not cool with this. But sometimes you want to come off as being cool, calm, and collected, right? Nah, sometimes you can express yourself in a cool, calm, and collected way, but you need to make sure what you're expressing is your truth. You don't have to yell at people in order to be your most authentic self and express your truth, but at the end of the day, be who you most authentically are and express that without fear or worry or how somebody's about to perceive you. Be who you are unapologetically. And just be who you are. You know what I'm saying? Express yourself, and don't be afraid to express yourself. If you need practice on how to do this, take some time in the mirror, scenario practice, right? But yeah, so that was really my tip for the day. And if you're someone who's struggling to get through this, or who really wants to get to a point where you're able to not only embrace your most authentic self, but also express your most authentic self to people, keep pushing, keep trying. Just keep doing it. Keep taking mindful steps to, ask you, to evaluate how you're feeling in a situation, to evaluate the thoughts that are coming into your head, evaluate the things that you want to say, but for some reason they're getting stuck right here or stuck right here. Evaluate, just how your being is. Evaluate the feelings in your body, the places where you might have blockages. Be in tune with yourself, and being in tune with yourself takes mindfulness. It takes awareness. It takes you allowing yourself to spend time with yourself, to be aware of what you need to express. And that's up to you to make that decision to do that. But once you allow yourself to take those steps, it could be baby steps, A, B, C, D, to figure out who you are and what you want, everything else begins to unfold. And you have to be raw with yourself. And if you can't be raw and vulnerable with yourself, but that's what you want from somebody else, you're not going to get that from somebody else. Or if you do get that from somebody else, part of you is going to push that away. If you want somebody who's going to be real with you, but you're not real with yourself, you can't be real with them. Because you're not real with yourself. You're not real enough to be able to tell them what it is that you want, what it is, what your concerns are, what you love, just all of the good and the bad. You got to be able to communicate during, neighbors, but you got to be able to communicate during the good and the bad. And that's your reality. Thanks for listening. Peace out, guys. And again, thank you so much. Namaste.